the soul should always stand ajar, ready to welcome the ecstatic guest. I wrote those words one quiet afternoon while the world outside my window was busy being sensible. Amherst hummed with errands and expectations, but inside my small room, time dissolved like sugar in tea. I wasn't hiding from life. I was trying to hear it better. My name is Emily Dickinson, and yes, I lived alone. But loneliness, you see, isn't always what people think it is. And before we go any further, yes, I've noticed. You've had quite a parade of gentlemen here lately. Schopenhauer, Kierkegaard, Hesse, all pacing through the dark with their heavy thoughts and tragic eyebrows. Consider me a small gesture toward parody. A woman joining your sleepless nights, not with thunder, but with a lamp. Don't worry, I won't lecture. I'll whisper. They said I feared the world. In truth, the world feared silence. It fills every pause with chatter, every space with sound, as if quiet were a crime. I discovered early that when you dare to be still, the universe begins to whisper. That's when poetry arrives, not as invention, but as visitation. The ecstatic guest knocks only when the soul is ajar. You say you feel lonely, even surrounded by people. I know that feeling. The parties full of laughter that doesn't touch the eyes. The endless scrolling through faces that promise warmth, but give only noise. You come home exhausted, not from others, but from pretending to belong. Loneliness isn't new. We've just given it Wi-Fi. But here's what I learned. Silence isn't empty. It's alive. When the noise fades, you start to hear the faintest things. A bee wrestling with a flower, a word forming in your mind before ink can catch it. The shy pulse of your own soul. Solitude is not the absence of company. It's the moment you stop performing and start existing. Still, meeting yourself for the first time can feel like falling, like being dropped into an ocean where no one can hear your name. That's the vertigo of solitude. It strips away the illusions that protect us. No applause, no mirror, no witness. Only you and the quiet question you've been avoiding. Who am I when no one is watching? The world tells you to stay connected, as if connection were salvation. But sometimes, what we call connection is only noise with better lighting. We drown in it, echoing others until our own voice disappears. I've seen it from my window for years, a world terrified of stillness, mistaking motion for meaning. So tonight, stay with me. Don't run from the quiet. Walk into it. I won't teach you how to escape loneliness. That would be cruel. I'll show you something rarer, how to listen to it, how to let it speak until it stops sounding like pain and starts sounding like freedom. Here, in Sleepless society, this is where the lucid insomniacs gather, the ones who have thought too much to sleep, but not enough to give up. Each night, a thinker returns from the past to whisper about love, solitude, beauty, and peace. Not to teach you, but to keep you company. Because even philosophers were afraid of silence and needed a friend in the dark. If you find light here, stay a while. Pull a chair closer to the fire. Now let us return, not to noise, but to a quieter place, to a house with creaking floors and closed curtains, to the room where the world thought I vanished, and where, in truth, I began to bloom. That is where our story begins. They called me a recluse. I called it freedom. That's how the stories began. A woman in white, refusing the world. A ghost, they said, haunting her own house. I used to hear their whispers through the garden gate. Poor Emily, she must be so lonely. I would smile, unseen behind the curtains. Loneliness? Hardly. I was listening. There are sounds the world cannot hear until it stops speaking. My life was not grand. It was a small radius of rooms, each one echoing with my steps, my breath, my pen scratching paper. I had no stage, no audience, only a window and the company of bees. I wrote letters I never sent, poems I never signed, prayers I never addressed. Yet I was not hiding from the world. I was guarding its silence, like a keeper of a flame no one else noticed. You see, I discovered that the more people speak, the less they say. The more we gather, the less we listen. I preferred to stay still, to feel the weight of one thought bloom in its fullness, rather than drown it beneath conversation. I wasn't hiding, I told myself. I was listening. Outside, carriages rolled by, neighbors married, died, gossiped, bloomed, and faded like the lilacs in spring. They thought I feared life because I closed the door, but I closed it the way a poet closes her eyes, to see better, to trace the shape of eternity against the inside of my eyelids. And yet, there were nights when even my chosen quiet felt heavy. The house seemed too large, the air too still. I would hear laughter drifting from the town square, muffled, ordinary, human, and something inside me ached. Freedom, yes, but freedom can sometimes resemble exile. That's when I began to understand the prison of noise, not the noise of sound, but of people. Today, I think you live in that same prison, only gilded. You rarely withdraw physically, as I did. Instead, you disappear inwardly. You go to the party, laugh for the picture, smile at the right moment. But your soul, she's standing by the window, waiting for you to come back. You scroll through lives, conversations, faces. Surrounded by others, you feel unseen. The room hums with laughter, but your thoughts echo unanswered. The heart starves, not from solitude, but from half attention. From people who listen without hearing, who look without seeing, who touch without feeling. We used to fear physical isolation. Now we fear missing notifications, but both are mirrors of the same hunger, to be truly met, to be recognized by another soul. The tragedy is that we've mistaken proximity for connection. We stand shoulder to shoulder and call it intimacy. We confuse the light of screens with the warmth of eyes. You stand in a crowded room, I see you. You smile, you nod, you play the part. But your soul, she waits outside, trembling like mine once did, craving the sacred quiet where something real might speak. Freedom, I learned, is not found in walls or crowds. It's a question whispered through the silence. What would remain of you if no one were watching? Still, solitude can feel like exile until you discover what it's trying to show you. Let me tell you what happened the night silence finally answered back. The silence didn't punish me. It revealed me. The first time I stopped resisting quiet, I thought it would destroy me. The stillness felt like a weight pressing against my chest, as if every sound I had silenced in myself wanted revenge. My thoughts flapped and cried like frightened birds, crashing into the walls of my skull. Memories I had buried returned without warning. Unfinished conversations, faces I had disappointed, the echo of things I had written and torn apart. For hours I sat there, listening to the ticking clock and the small ache inside my ribs. I realized that silence is never truly silent. It hums, it breathes, it waits. It holds a pulse, soft but insistent, as if the universe itself were whispering, "Listen." At first, I wanted to run from it, to reach for paper, for sound, for someone, anything that could drown the feeling of being left alone with my own reflection. But that evening, something in me surrendered. I stopped fighting. I stopped moving. And then, quite suddenly, the stillness looked back. That's when I understood. The silence wasn't punishing me. It was showing me everything I had been too afraid to see. It was a mirror, and in it, I saw the outline of a woman I had neglected, myself. For years, I believed I missed people, conversation, the hum of society beyond my gate. But the truth was simpler, sadder, and kinder. I missed myself. I had left her somewhere between the pages of a poem and the expectations of others, between politeness and fear. Silence handed her back to me. It's a peculiar kind of revelation, isn't it? The kind that doesn't arrive with trumpets, but with breathing. Silence doesn't flatter. It doesn't lie. It holds you by the shoulders and says, "Look." It shows you the dust on your own soul, the tenderness you've abandoned, the pain you never mourned. It also shows you the small, bright things, your curiosity, your capacity for wonder, your patience. In that mirror, you see the parts that survived the noise. Most people never stand still long enough to notice. They fear silence the way some fear death, as if quiet meant extinction. And so they fill it with voices, with plans, with endless scrolls of images that keep them safely away from themselves. You know this feeling too. The hesitation before turning off the television, the panic when the phone battery turns red, the way your hand reaches for sound, any sound, to keep the thoughts from landing. You call it boredom or anxiety, but it's neither. It's the soul knocking, a reminder that you exist beyond all this noise. Loneliness, I learned, isn't emptiness, it's awareness. The ache you feel when you stop running is the sound of life returning. It's painful only because it's true. Once you allow silence to hold you, it begins to feed you, slowly, like light through curtains at dawn. You start to feel time soften. Breathing becomes noticeable. The small things expand. The pattern of dust and sunlight. The way your heartbeat matches the rhythm of the rain. You realize the world was never quiet. You were just too loud to hear it. I began to sit by my window for hours, watching the light crawl across the floorboards. I wrote not to be read, but to keep that light company. The silence became my ink, the air my page. For the first time, I felt close to something infinite and tender. A conversation beyond language. People think solitude is a desert, but it's not. It's a garden that only grows when you stop trampling it. The flowers are subtle, clarity, patience, self-respect, but they bloom only in the absence of applause. Silence teaches you to live without witnesses. It teaches you that presence isn't what others give you. It's what you give yourself. The world today trembles before that lesson. It builds walls of noise to keep the mirror from appearing. Meditation apps, podcasts, digital detoxes, all our modern rituals of escape disguised as healing. We schedule mindfulness the way we schedule meetings, but still, we never truly stop. We want the calm without the confrontation. I wonder what would happen if you turned everything off, just for a minute. No music, no screens, no second voices, only you and the air moving in your lungs. I promise the silence will not hurt you. It might even call you by your real name, for that's what happened to me. One evening, when the sky melted into amber, I heard it, a sound softer than thought, gentler than breath. It wasn't the world speaking, it was something inside me answering back. A voice I had forgotten, patient and whole. From that moment, I was never truly alone again. But peace found in silence is fragile. Step outside and it trembles beneath the noise of the world. When I looked beyond my window, I saw a world terrified of that quiet, a world that fights loneliness with distraction. Let's step outside and see that fear together. I watch your century through the window of my old room and smile, not with judgment, but with a kind of melancholy wonder. You fill your calendar, but empty your heart. You chase connection the way we once chased eternity, yet you end up tired, restless, and strangely untouched. You call it progress. I call it a louder kind of loneliness. I wrote for the wind. You post for the algorithm. Same hunger, different altar. I sent my words into the air not to be known, but to be understood, even if no one answered. You send yours into the cloud, where they float among millions, liked but seldom loved. We both wanted the same thing, to be seen, to echo in another heart. But you, poor darlings, have built a whole industry out of it. Your century worships exposure. Every meal, every joy, every grief must be witnessed to exist. It's not enough to live. You must prove that you are living. You mistake visibility for validation, applause for affection. But what happens when the clapping stops? The silence returns, and you don't know how to greet it anymore. You have endless ways to talk, and none to truly listen. You share without sharing. You connect without touching. We are together, you say, just not present. I see your gatherings, bright screens lighting tired faces, conversations that vanish the moment a phone vibrates. The room is full, yet every soul drifts a few inches away from its body. In my day, we feared silence. In yours, you fear low battery. You panic when the signal drops, but not when your heart does. You lose Wi-Fi for a moment and call it a crisis, yet you've been disconnected from yourselves for years, and no one calls it by its name. Your loneliness is not born from the lack of people. It is born from the constant escape from yourself. You flee from thought to distraction, from one voice to another, terrified of what might surface if you ever stop scrolling. You drown intimacy in noise, mistaking the vibration in your pocket for a pulse. And yet, I don't say this to mock you. I say it because I recognize the hunger, the same one that drove me to write hundreds of poems in secret, trying to touch a truth no one could see. I understand that ache, to be met, to be mirrored, to feel real in someone else's eyes. It is a holy ache, but holiness, like silence, asks for stillness, and you no longer stop long enough to hear your own heartbeat. Sometimes, I wonder what would happen if the world went quiet for a single day? No notifications, no headlines, no noise. Would you crumble or would you breathe? Would you rediscover what your own thoughts sound like? The greatest illusion of your age is that you are never alone. And yet, you have never been further from yourselves. You travel continents to escape your mind, build new identities like scaffolding around a house you never enter. The truth is painful but simple. Connection cannot save you from loneliness if you've never learned to sit with yourself first. There's nothing wrong with longing to be loved. The error is believing that love begins elsewhere. I remember nights in my room when the world outside seemed distant, a faint hum behind the curtains. The more I listened to that quiet, the more it spoke back, not with words, but with something deeper, the sense that I was already part of everything I sought. That's the secret the modern world keeps running from. The silence doesn't isolate you. It joins you to what's real. So what happens if we stop resisting that quiet? If, instead of fighting loneliness, we start to listen to it? What if, beyond the noise and the constant reaching, something ancient and tender is waiting to be heard? Let me show you what appeared when I finally dared to do that. When I stopped escaping my loneliness, it became a guest, not a ghost. At first, I had treated solitude like an illness, something to endure, to recover from, to keep at bay with small distractions. A letter, a flower to arrange, a line of poetry scribbled to muffle the quiet. But loneliness is patient. It sits by the door, waiting for you to tire of pretending it isn't there. One day, I did. I set down my pen, folded my hands, and said, "All right, speak." It did not scold me nor weep. It simply looked back. Loneliness, I discovered, has eyes, and when you meet them without fear, they reflect not absence, but depth. It was as if I had spent my life standing before a dark lake, afraid to see my own reflection. And suddenly, I realized the water wasn't empty. It was full of stars. In the hush, I discovered that being alone doesn't mean nothing happens. It means everything does. The smallest sounds became revelations. The whisper of paper, the faint hum of my own breath, the heartbeat that had been hidden under years of noise. In that stillness, every ordinary thing became radiant. A cup, a shadow, the way sunlight stretched across the floorboards like a cat half asleep. You live in an age that tries to mimic this, don't you? Mindfulness, retreats, silent breakfasts, digital Sabbaths, the desperate modern attempt to buy back the peace that silence once gave freely. You schedule calm the way others schedule meetings, trying to remember how to breathe. But real stillness cannot be planned. It arrives when you stop asking for it, the way dawn arrives without permission. I wish I could tell you it's comfortable, this quiet awakening. It isn't. It begins with restlessness, like a fever breaking. The body fidgets, the mind rebels. Every buried thought claws its way up, demanding to be heard. That's why most people quit. They mistake discomfort for failure, when in truth, it's the soul stretching, waking, remembering. Loneliness is not punishment. It is initiation. It strips you of distraction until only truth remains. It removes your masks, your noise, your names, and what's left is something raw but clean. awareness. The moment you stop trying to fill the silence, you realize it was never empty. It was full of you. I learned that solitude isn't something to escape, but something to cross, like a river. You start on one shore, trembling, believing you'll drown. Halfway through, the current slows, the water clears, and you see the reflection of the sky. By the time you reach the other side, you realize you haven't escaped loneliness. You've become friends with it. After that, the world looks different. The same room, the same four walls, but lighter somehow, as if space itself were breathing. The ache that once haunted you becomes a rhythm. You begin to understand that the silence was never your enemy. It was your teacher, whispering lessons you could only learn in stillness. We are all apprentices to that quiet. It teaches humility, that you are smaller than you thought, but also more infinite. It teaches patience, that nothing truly yours will ever rush. And it teaches tenderness, that even pain, when held gently, begins to glow. That's the leap, not away from loneliness, but into it. The courage to let silence touch you until it no longer hurts to be alone. The courage to find beauty where the world told you there was none. And once I accepted that truth, something miraculous happened. The silence gave birth to creation. I opened the drawer. Inside, hundreds of folded pages sleep like white petals, each one a heartbeat I once hid. Forever, I once wrote, is composed of nows. I didn't know what those words meant when I wrote them. Now I do. Every line was an attempt to rescue a single moment from silence, to hold life still, just long enough to say, I see you. Writing became my conversation with existence. I had no audience, only the air, the light, the faint hum of my own soul answering back. Each poem was a letter to the unseen, a way of saying, I was here, not to the world, but to myself. I discovered that the act of creating is a form of listening, not to others, but to what stirs quietly within you when no one else is watching. You don't need an audience, you need honesty. The paper doesn't demand applause, it only asks that you tell the truth. Creation doesn't fix loneliness, it befriends it. It gives your ache a language, your silence a shape. When I wrote, I was not escaping my solitude, I was translating it. And perhaps that's what you are longing for too. Not more company, but communion, a way to make your inner life visible again. You live in an age where everyone shares, but few create. Sharing is noise, creating is prayer. Every drawing, every song, every honest word is a bridge built between the self and the world. You can begin anywhere. Write a letter you'll never send. Walk without headphones. Speak to no one, but listen to everything. Watch how your mind begins to unfurl when it's no longer interrupted. Notice the rhythm of your thoughts, the pulse of your own breathing. You will find that the emptiness you feared is not a void. It's a space for creation to grow. When I wrote, the world grew quiet. The smallest act, dipping the pen in ink, became an act of defiance against despair. To create even a single sentence was to say, I am still here, and something in me refuses to vanish. And that is the secret of creation. It isn't about making something new. It's about recognizing that you still exist. I think of you, sitting somewhere tonight, perhaps with too many tabs open, too many voices speaking at once. You long for silence, but fear what it might reveal. You ache to be seen, but haven't yet looked at yourself. Let me whisper this. Art begins the moment you stop performing and start witnessing. When you learn to see, everything becomes a canvas. Creation doesn't demand talent, only presence. When you cook with care, when you notice the way sunlight hits your wall, when you write down a single true thought, you are already creating. Each act of attention is a small rebellion against numbness. Each moment of sincerity is a poem the world will never erase. It's not about perfection, it's about intimacy with yourself, with life, with whatever still dares to bloom inside you. That's why creation heals. It transforms what hurts into something that breathes. It turns confusion into clarity, pain into pattern, longing into beauty. In my solitude, I learned that to create is to participate in the rhythm of the universe. The wind composes symphonies in trees. Rivers carve poems into stone. Even silence shapes meaning through the spaces it leaves behind. When you create, you join that eternal conversation. You remember that you too are part of the music. So tonight, make something small. It doesn't matter what, a line, a sketch, a single honest sentence. Let your feelings take form. Let your thoughts breathe. And if no one ever sees it, let that be its purity. Because the moment you create for truth rather than approval, you are no longer alone. And in that quiet act of creation, I finally found the answer that had haunted me. The real reason we feel lonely, even surrounded by love. The night exhales, and dawn tiptoes into my room. Light spills across the desk where so many of my words began, trembling, uncertain, half afraid to exist. The air smells of ink and lilac. Outside, the world stretches its arms toward morning. Inside, I feel something even quieter waking. Peace. You've walked with me through silence, through solitude, through the ache of being unseen. You've learned, as I did, that loneliness is not a curse, but a companion in disguise. It appears to wound you, but it is only trying to lead you home, back to yourself. We feared being alone because we thought it meant being forgotten. But what if loneliness was never abandonment, only an invitation? All along, the silence was teaching us how to listen. When we stopped running, it showed us our reflection. When we stopped seeking, it handed us creation. When we stopped grasping, it gave us presence. That is the quiet alchemy of solitude. It turns emptiness into awareness, and awareness into love. Not the kind that needs witnesses, but the kind that glows invisibly. The one that begins the moment you finally look at your own life and whisper, I am here. I used to believe poetry was my refuge. Now I see it was my mirror. Every line I wrote was a way to hold stillness without fear, to turn pain into meaning. And isn't that what we're all trying to do? To take what hurts and give it shape, to turn the unknown into something we can love? You feel lonely, sometimes even surrounded by love. I know, but loneliness does not ask for more people. It asks for more presence, to sit fully inside a single breath, to taste the morning before naming it, to realize that every second is unrepeatable, and that this this fleeting moment is enough. That it will never come again is what makes life so sweet. I once wrote that as a reminder, not to mourn time, but to honor it. You and I, we are both brief, fragile notes in the song of the world. And yet, in the smallness of our being, there is infinite tenderness, because to notice is already to belong. So let the silence stay. Let it whisper. Let it breathe. Don't rush to fill it. The stillness you fear is where life begins again. Quietly, patiently, honestly. When you inhabit it completely, loneliness dissolves like morning mist, leaving only the vastness of presence. I close my notebook and smile. The light on the paper feels warm, alive, forgiving. Everything that was once heavy now seems to float. The walls, the words, even me. Silence, I whisper, is not the absence of life. It's where life reveals its soul. If this night brought you even a small piece, welcome to Sleepless Society. We don't sell sleep, we share awakening. And if someone you love is wandering through their own silence, send this to them. Sometimes, a single shared quiet can bring two hearts home. The window glows brighter. The pen rests. And at last, the silence feels like love.